Okay, so today, a whole new thing today, we're going to play with Excel. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start the Excel application. I'll bring my book over here for a second, just to let you see what's in it. Here, full screen. We're going to learn about Excel. We call them worksheets. And we're going to create charts on our worksheets. So we're going to learn about the application, Excel. And we're going to just explore the ribbon of Excel. How many have used Excel before? Okay, so this should be pretty good. Maybe just getting you a good foundation in Excel. Of all the programs that we teach in this class, when I see alumni coming back, they often have questions or are thankful that they learned Excel. So even though in college you're writing papers and doing presentations with Word and PowerPoint, out there in the job market, if you know Excel, even if you're not using it every day, if someone else that does Excel for you, you know what you're supposed to be seeing, and you can tell whether they're doing the right thing or whether they have how they did a function. You're figuring out how to afford something. You're setting up your family budget. And in Excel, we have a very important thing we're going to learn. I call it the marriage saving formula. Because I've heard that much of marital conflict comes from disputes over finances. Somebody just doesn't pay attention to what the spending is allowed, and unless you're the government that can spend all everyone's money, have no accountability for it, and go into trillions of dollars into debt, if you're an actual real person with a real life and you want to keep your real life going, you have to keep a budget. And so Excel will help you do that. You can of course do it by hand, but Excel will make it very easy. Entering numbers and things into the cells, if you've done Excel before, that'll be easy peasy stuff for you. But I'm not assuming you know everything, so we'll carefully go over the ribbon and things. We're going to be creating some charts, some formatting the cells. They're different than Word and PowerPoint, how we format things, and messing with our properties. We're not going to be printing to hard copy, but we'll be printing to PDF, so we can share it with someone that maybe does not have Excel on their workstation but needs to see our charts we're creating. So we're going to create a chart like this. It's going to look like this when we're done. You think, oh, that looks really fancy and hard to do. No, this is going to be very easy to do. Just using the basic techniques in Excel, you're going to learn how easy it is to enter data, enter some numbers, copy and paste them, adjust them, and come up with a nicely colored format of that. And this is a real estate budget. Here we go. Let's get going on that. We'll start that worksheet. So let's first of all just start Excel. I have it on my taskbar, but if you don't have it there, you can click the Windows Start button, type Excel. Since we're going to be using it for a while, you can right click on that and say Pin to Start or Pin to Taskbar, and then start it up. I'm going to start with a blank workbook. Just like in many other applications, there are templates for lots of things you can do, but we're going to start with blank because we want to learn how to do it ourselves. Blank workbook, and now let's explore the ribbon. We still have our font and section of the ribbon, very much like we see in the other applications. I can adjust my styles of the text. The thing about Excel is I am adjusting the style of the selected box that I'm in, and I can click and drag over multiple boxes, cells we call them. Whenever I set the cell or the formatting, I am setting the formatting for the currently selected cell. So knowing what cell is currently selected is super important in Excel. If I'm over here and I select to put the number in a particular format or set the color, that will only apply to that particular cell. And we'll be entering numbers in these cells in a second. Across this ribbon, you have the different sections. Just like the other apps, we'll be spending most of the time on the home ribbon, but we can do other things. We can insert things. We're not forced to only insert things into cells. We can adjust our layout with margins and background colors and things. And themes, we can apply themes just like with Word and PowerPoint. When we want to enter formulas, we have a whole formula ribbon. But we're going to be mostly using the search for a formula because we're not going to be working with tons of formulas. I'm going to be sorting the data that I see in cells. I don't think this level book, we don't even talk about the review section. And the view, we do view page layout at one point, but there's lots of things. We actually play a little bit with freezing panes. And you're welcome to use the help whenever. We're going to use Power Pivot, I think, in the very last project. But we're going to spend most of our time just getting the home ribbon, getting used to that, and entering data. Now these all have names and shortcuts. If you hover over something, you'll see a shortcut associated with each of these things. And as we adjust formattings of things, sometimes there's shortcuts, sometimes there's not. Looks like there's not a shortcut for alignment like there used to be in Word. We're going to be learning a little bit about conditional formatting. That's, I think, on the third project. Okay, let's get going now and start entering information and learning as we go. To create something like this, we're going to, first of all, just enter the information. Then we'll come back and format it nice and pretty like. Okay, so let's just enter the information. Don't worry about the greens and the type of style it is. Let's just get the data in there, and then we'll come and make it look beautiful. So here we go. We're going to put in our real estate budget title. That's going to become a title, but for now it's just going to be plain text in our worksheet. In the textbook, remember there's a quiz to go with each chapter. The quiz online goes over some of the details that the textbook explains. And remember, that's open book. Take as many times as you like. Or is it 3 times? I forget. Let's see. We're entering the information here. You have to, I'm skipping over a few pages because I want to get to the part of we're entering our information. And here we go. Entering text. This is going to be our title. So let's enter our title here in cell A1. Every cell has an address. Column and then row. Click on that, and that shows its default name. Did you know you can actually rename your column if you come up here and type? You could actually call him the title cell. But that's confusing for people, so leave the titles alone for now. Later on, you may come and find someone else has a worksheet. They assigned a name to that cell other than the default A1. All right, so type in A1. I'm going to put in the title of this worksheet. Frangold real estate budget. First thing I notice, if I spell something wrong, it does not give me red squigglies. Later on, if I do a spell check, I think it will catch the spelling error. Doesn't like Rangold, we'll say, yeah, we're okay with that. We're okay. Oh, it realizes I did a misspelling there. So it will catch a misspelling later on when you do a spell check, but it doesn't give you the red squigglies like Word was doing and PowerPoint was doing. So I have to get my spelling right. Later on, check for spelling. Notice here, it actually overwrites past cell A1. That's just because there's nothing in B or C yet. And think of this as just overlapping. If I actually clicked on B and start typing something, notice how the remainder of that row gets blocked. If I come back here and select and hit the delete key, it's like, oh, B is empty now. I'll let A overlap. And we can always adjust our cell widths by clicking here between the A and the B in the gray, and click and adjust that cell width. You're welcome to do that if you like. It doesn't matter for now because we're not planning to put anything else in these cells, at least on these rows. But I can double click and it will auto fit my column to fit the widest thing in it. It's a nice thing to know. So we've got Frangold Real Estate Budget is going to become our title, and now this is going to become a subtitle later on, Monthly Estimates. I can always adjust the width of my column and it's not affecting the information in that column. I can even hide my column by shrinking it down to nothing and that data is still there, it's just being hidden. If I want to unhide it, I can come back to that cell and hover over the border and then click it and open it back up, and there's what was in that cell, in that row. And remember, double clicking will auto fit the column. I think we're going to leave an empty line between here and the next row. Oh no, we're not leaving an empty line. I like to leave empty lines, but I guess they're not going to. I'm going to put in here income. Income. Now, because I'm going to be naming the months, I'm going to narrow my column down again so B isn't stretched way over to the right. That's going to be the income. And notice what happens when I click income and hit enter. It can go down, or automatically goes down. I can arrow around using the arrow keys, or click, or tab. Tab also goes to the next column. Let's see, shift tab I think takes me back, and arrow up and down takes me to the next row. Sometimes enter will take you to the next row as well. I can arrow over to B3 now, and we're ready to enter in the months of the year. And I am lazy, so I'm going to show you the lazy way to do this. I'm going to type in January and hit enter. I could type out the rest of the months of the year, but I want to show you something very special about Excel. If you don't know this already, if I click on that cell to select it, there's a little fill handle bar right here. And this is a little understood little fill handle. Notice I have to have the black solid plus before my fill handle is working. If I'm here and I click and drag, I am just selecting more cells. I don't want that. If I have the cell selected and I click in and I have a double arrow there on the left with the empty in the middle, if I click and drag there, I am moving that cell somewhere else. I didn't want to do that. Control Z. I have to have the solid plus, and now if I click and drag, here is where Excel will work for you. It recognizes that January has something that normally comes after it, the next month of the year. And we're going out to August. I can drag out to August, June, July, August. I can go out to May, and then I can zoom out a little bit. And I can grab that fill handle, and remember it's the solid plus, June, July, August. It fills in the months for me. It does a wonderful autofill. It'll do the same thing if I go and grab the fill handle and go down. It'll give me the next months. Just for fun, let's play with a little bit of auto complete. If I type A1 and I grab the fill handle and I go to the right, it'll automatically increment that 1 to a 2. But we don't need that there, so I can delete. But it did that for me. It'll also do the same for days of the week. If I type in Tuesday and then click and grab the fill handle, it'll enter in the rest of the days. But remember, you have to grab the fill handle, not the double arrow there. That's moving the cell. Or the large plus, that just means I'm selecting more cells. So clicking and dragging, make sure you're doing the right thing you're clicking on. That fill handle will come very handy. So now I filled in the months of the year. We'll come back later. I also want expenses listed down in row 8. Now I'm going to be lazy, show you the lazy way. Let's call it more efficient way. I'm going to have the same months of the year. Oh, actually, I just realized they do go all the way out to December. I have to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go all the way out to December now. October, November, December. There we go. And I'm going to have total here after December. I type in the word total. What would happen, do you think, if I did the fill handle more? Going to go back to January? Yeah, it'll wrap around to January. I don't want it to though, so I'm leaving total there. Now, I want almost the same thing down in row 8. So what am I going to do? I'm going to copy row 3 down to row 8. Here's the quickest way to copy a row. Click on the 3 in the gray, Control C copy, or right click copy, right click copy. Come down to row 8, Control V, or right click paste. And I'm going to do the regular paste. And there I have the entire row copied, and the only difference is it's instead of saying income, it's going to say expenses. Now all I do is click on that cell that says income. I'll zoom back in on that now. All I click on is the cell that says income, and just start typing. I don't have to delete, I can just start typing, and it'll automatically replace it with what I start to type. If you ever misspell something in a cell, you can retype it by clicking and typing it again, or you can double click and it puts you in edit mode, and you can backspace and fix any spelling that you may have gotten wrong. Another way to edit what's in a cell, you can click on the cell, and this is something I hardly ever do, but you can actually come up here and start typing the proper thing up here in the formula bar. I find just clicking and typing right where I am is more obvious. Just double click or click once and start typing. Double click and you can correct anything. Click once, type, double click, type, or click and type up in the formula bar. I'm not sure if they're going to keep the formula bar on. Sometimes it's useful when you're actually doing hard formulas that need lots of typing. But usually you can just type right in the cell. And to correct anything, remember it's a double click, and you can double click. You can then edit that text. If you want to just overwrite it, click once and start typing. And this is a danger. If you click on it and you hit the space bar, it erases what's there, puts a space bar instead. So it's easy to accidentally erase something in a cell by hitting a key when you had something selected. Control Z or the undo right there will undo the last thing you did. Alright, so I have 2 rows. I didn't have to redo the months of the year. I can see that I have my heading or my column heading set. Now let's go on and add some more things before we start putting in some numbers. For our income, remember this is our income section up here. Typically, now why did my little taskbar isn't hiding on me, and I needed to hide on me because I need to slide over. I guess I have to fix that so I can slide over to the right. There we go. I can go back, grab the slider over here, or I could arrow over, and in the column 1 here, right underneath income, I can type the word commission. Hit enter, and it takes me down to the next row. If I didn't want to go down, I could always arrow around. My other sources of income are interest, and I'm going to be totaling up all my income, and I'm going to put a row heading for that to be total. So there is my source of income. Just to make it a little easier for you to read, I'm going to double click on my tab up here so I don't have to see the ribbon right now, and I'll zoom in a little bit more for you here. So there's my income settings. For expenses, we have these categories of expenses. We have rent, hit enter, takes me down one, utilities, advertising, because we're a business, the website, we have special expense category for the website, printing, office supplies, gas, and now we come to a very dangerous category, miscellaneous. It's so easy to not categorize something and just throw it in miscellaneous. Be careful about that, because miscellaneous can easily get very large and you're not essentially not tracking your expenses. So they're warn you, if you see miscellaneous have a lot of money in it, you say, well, okay, let's figure out what are we really spending down there in miscellaneous. Leaving a blank cell, a blank row, just to make it easy on the eyes, and we're going to put net. This is going to be our net income for the month, for each month. And I can hit enter. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to see now what our spreadsheet is looking like. Keeping track of numbers for commission, for income, commission and interest, and a variety of expenses. Okay. Now it's time to enter some numbers into our estimate, because remember this is monthly estimates, probably based on what we spent last year. And here are the numbers that they give us. Let's go ahead and enter some commission numbers. And just to make it easier to read and not overlap commission, I'm going to enlarge or widen the column A a little bit by grabbing there in the gray, stretching down a little bit. And the number for January is 12,000. Now the number for February is also 12,000. I'm going to type that in again. The number for March and April is 14,000. Now I'm going to arrow to the right now, rather than hitting enter and have to arrow up. For March it's 14,000. And there's a lot of other months that are also 14,000. Or actually not a lot of months. Well, there's a few more. October and November are also 14,000. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select March and Control C to copy it. Click on April and paste it. And then zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to go over to October and November, select through October and November by clicking and dragging when I have the wide plus, and Control V, paste. It'll paste 14,000 in both of them. Just practicing our efficient use of Excel. Now the other ones are mostly different. So May is 16,000. I'm hitting tab now because I want to go to the right. June is 18,500. Summer is the better time for real estate sales. July is the big month, 20,000. And August 18,500. September is coming back down, is also 18,500. And I'm going to tab all the way over to December, and December is down to 16,500. There's my commission for each month, estimating based on probably last year's sales, last year's budget. Well, the interest is the same for all the months. So I'm going to type in 100 for January. Now I could copy paste using Control C, Control V, but I'm going to also try the fill handle, grab the 100 and the little fill handle dot just to practice my fill handle skills. Make sure you have the solid black plus sign and click and drag that all the way out to December. I could have done the Control C copy and then select through them all and Control V paste. That would have done the same thing. So fill handle or copy paste. Now we're going to come back later and do the totals. We'll get our other numbers in, then we'll come back and fill in the total. So don't worry about the total for now. Let's go to rent, and the rent in January is $1,500. The utilities in January are $325. I'll zoom in just a little bit here, make it nice and readable for you. Advertising is $400. Website, we don't pay except in July, and we only pay once a year in July. So we'll put 0 for here. Printing is about $200 every month. Office supplies, estimated $200 every month. Actually, we'll put $200. Gas is about $100 every month. And miscellaneous is about $250 every month. Here's where the fill handle comes in really handy. I can select through all of these numbers and fill handle them all in one click and drag. So select through, go to the fill handle, solid plus, click and drag it all the way out to December, and I have filled in all my months because the estimates are pretty much the same except for a few of these things. Now I'm going to come back and correct a few of them. The website we actually pay for in July, we pay $500 in July. So I just click and start typing. I don't have to backspace, just click and type. Printing is $200 every month. Let's see here. Office supplies for February and March And I guess we only pay office supplies every 3 months. So I can delete these, or type 0. Oh, it doesn't type 0 in both places. Let's go ahead and type 0 there. I'm going to do something, I'm just going to hit delete, and that will clear out those cells. Mathematically, leaving them blank is the same as having a 0 there. If your accountant doesn't like seeing a blank cell, you could type a 0 there. And then it's every 3 months, and then the last 2 months we don't pay either. So I'm just deleting them just to show that mathematically a blank cell is the same as a 0. And look how quickly we got our estimates for every month. Every month is the same except for website and office supplies. I'm just double checking. Yep, every month's the same except for website and office supplies. Now we can start thinking about letting Excel do the work for us and now calculating some important totals. So, here we are, up here for the total for the month of January. Now I could add it in my head and type in 12100, but we want to let Excel do the work, and we might decide that we estimated the incorrect interest, and we don't want to be retyping except for where we change in commission and interest. So I want to have a formula here, to be these two things added together. I'm going to do the formula in a couple of ways. First, we'll do it manually, completely manually. I type equal, and then I type, oh, that's cell B4, that's where the 1200 is, B4, that's the address of that cell, and then I type plus B5. And see how it's highlighting them in the color as I type the cell address. I hit enter, and it does the correct mathematical calculation. Now I'll do it again. I'm going to type equal. This time, instead of typing C4, I'm going to click on C4. And look at that. It puts a C4 in there for me just by clicking on it. And I click plus, and I point and click on C5. It puts the C5 in there for me. And this is where it gets dangerous. If I don't hit enter but accidentally go click somewhere else, look what it does. It changes C5 to wherever I clicked. So once I'm done with the formula, I have to be sure to hit enter to confirm, yes, that's my formula, or if I click on this little check mark there, that means, yes, I'm done with the formula, do the calculations. So whenever you're in formula editing, be careful where you click. That's the lesson here. Careful where you click. One more way I'm going to do this, and this time I'm going to show my home ribbon. I'm going to calculate the total using a handy dandy little formula guy hiding under this sigma function. If I just click the sigma, watch what he does. He puts in the equal, and then he puts in a function called sum parenthesis d4 colon d5. So you see the lesson here is anytime I started with an equal sign, that tells Excel, hey, you're going to do some calculation for me here, Mr. Excel. I did it here mathematically. This time I'm using a function called sum. And then we get, instead of getting d4 plus d5 in here, we get d4 colon d5. I can do the summation across any range. This is called a range. This is the upper left cell of a range. This is a lower right cell of a range. And since it's a small little rectangle, upper left is d4, lower right is d5. If I actually wanted to do a summation of some other cells, watch what I could do. I could drag through a whole rectangle of numbers, and it will actually calculate the summation of all those numbers from d4 out to i5. But of course, that's not what I want. So I can come back and drag through the correct numbers that I want to calculate the sum of. These are all equivalent ways of calculating the correct total. Now there's a wonderful key. If I do a control upper left tilde, the little single quote or squiggly, control tilde, lets me see what formulas are in every cell. And I can see That's adding them together. That's adding them together, point and click. This is the same thing as those two added together. Usually when there's only a couple cells, I usually use the simple mathematical formula like this. When I have a large rectangle that I want to add together, the sum formula is very handy. But they're mathematically the equivalent. And control tilde takes me back to see the result of my formula. Now just a little warning here for homework. When I check your homework on these Excel projects, first thing I do is I control tilde to make sure you're not just copying in and typing in numbers that you know are supposed to be in that cell. Make sure you're putting in formulas and not just doing the addition in your head, because we want to make sure Excel is doing the work in the right places. So always make sure you're doing a formula and not just typing in, oh, Mr. Manning, I see Mr. Manning has 141,000 in there, I better type that in there. No, you need to type in the formula to show that you know how to let Excel do the work. Now I'm getting even lazier now. Since I have the formula here for March, what happens if I simply grab the fill handle and pull it out to the rest of the months? Is it going to get the right answer? Let's find out. Yeah, the right answer. Oh, look at that. It got the right answer there, even though they're different numbers. How did it know to do that? Let's take a look. If I hit my control tilde, I will see when I copied the formula from here, look at that. It changed the D4, D5 to E4, and then F4, and then G4. It's smart enough to know that when I copy a formula, to also change the cells that it's doing the formula of. It's called relative addressing. You can think of this as, this formula is sum of the two numbers above me. When I copy the formula, it also changes the location because the formula is in a different place to copy or to get the sum of the two cells above it. So Excel is doing a little bit of thinking for you. Sometimes we don't want that to happen, but most of the time, when we're copying it, doing a sum of a column, when we copy the formula, we mean, yes, also give me the sum of that new column I'm in. That's something we'll be regularly checking back with, because that can confuse you very easily, thinking, wait a minute, why didn't it give me the sum of these? Well, because it automatically thinks you want to move what you're adding together. It's called relative addressing. So that was using our wonderful little summation. But remember, you can always do the formula by hand yourself if you want. You don't have to use the sum formula. If you know it's just two cells added together, you can just type equal, start a formula, what's in B4, plus what's in B5. All right, let's go now to the few more formulas. Let's see here. We're going now to do the total down here. I can type it in by hand. Let's type it in by hand. I could do equal, oh man, I have to do B9 plus B10 plus B11 plus B12. No, let's not do that. Let's type equal sum, and then left parenthesis. And let's see, that one is B9, and this one is B16, so B9 colon B16. And I don't even have to type in the ending right parenthesis. It'll do that for me, and I get the summation of those. Now, I don't want to always type it in by hand. Remember, I have my little friend Mr. Sigma up here. If I click on that cell and just hit the sigma, it automatically looks for numbers nearby to give me the sum of, and it got the right selection of numbers. So that little sigma is a shortcut to give me the sum of those numbers above me, please. And I hit enter. And now, remember how I can use my fill handle? It will adjust the formula that it's in. If I can just grab the fill handle, after selecting that cell, fill handle, drag to the right, all the way out to December, and I'm getting the same numbers because it's about the same numbers in every month. But if I click on one or double click, I'll see that it's doing the sum of each column. Hit escape to end the editing of formula. Escape. I can see that my formula is being changed to add up the numbers in each column using my wonderful fill handle technique. If I want to see my formulas, control tilde, shows me that I have a formula in every one of those total cells. Control tilde again, toggles off, showing me my formulas. And this is the power of Excel. Copying, after you get one column right, getting the formula right, you can copy that formula to the other columns without having to type it in again. Excel is doing your math. All right, we're going to do a few more now. We copied our totals, we copied our summations at the bottom. And I think we're going to do our right side totals now. Make sure I do this. Yeah, we're going to do our right side totals now. I'll zoom in here. Over on the right side, underneath the column total, we want to get totals here as well. Well, remember how we did it before? My little friend Mr. Sigma. Let's see what happens when we're at this cell. I have to select that cell. Now I click Mr. Sigma. Let's see what he does. Look at that. He said, hey, do you want the sum of B9 to M9? If I zoom out, oh, it won't let me zoom out while it's being typed in. If I hit enter, yeah, it was B9 all the way out to M9. And it auto sum for me. Let's do that again, and then we'll do the fill handle. Click again, auto sum. Yep, that's what I want summed together, enter. Now, of course, I can come up here and do the same thing. Click, auto sum, enter. Just for practice, I'd say do the auto sum. Remember though, you also then can say, well, since you did it right there, I could fill handle it down as well and get the summation. And I can, once I have done it a few times with auto sum, remember I have to enter after auto summing, then I can say, hey, I know that. Let's just go ahead and grab the fill handle, do the auto sum all the way down. And to check that I have my formulas, I can click to see the formula there, double click to see the formula inside the cell, or escape and control tilde, and I can see that I have my formulas in their right places. Remember, whenever there's a total, don't be typing in numbers, type in formulas. And let's just examine this formula just to make sure we're perfectly clear. When I click on this formula, it's the cells from B4 all the way to M4. Let's see, B4 is January, all the way out to M4, December. Yep, that's the right range. A range is starting cell, colon, ending cell. So yes, I do want the summation across that range of cells. Let's see, what else we got? Well, we have to figure out net. Let's see if we're going to do net next. Can you guess what the formula for net will be? Oh, in the book they're done. Oh yeah, we are going to do net, and then we're going to do some more. How do we figure out the net? Just for fun here.
Mr. Mann?
Yeah.
It looks like your total on the cells B9 through 17 aren't matching up with the ones that I have on here.
Yeah, I'm seeing. I just noticed that. So 18,000, 33, 39, 48. Oh, something's wrong here. This is horrible. What happened here? Let's see. Oh, look at that. It became the sum of the ones above it. That's crazy. Our auto sum didn't play nice for me, did it? This guy, he's calculated the sums to the left, but when I came here and did auto sum, he said, oh, I'm going to add up the numbers above me instead. So auto sum didn't behave as I expected. Here, if I do auto sum, he says, oh, I'll go to the left. Now, I don't know what made him decide to go auto sum up to the numbers above me instead of to the left. And I didn't notice that. But good catch. So what should I do? Since this one is right, it's probably best just to grab him now and fill handle him down. Good catch on there. Now I'm getting the right numbers. So here's a lesson about auto sum. If there's numbers in both directions, it looks like if there's two numbers above him, he'll say, oh, that must be what you want for auto sum. If you want to correct it, I can say, wait a minute, I meant those numbers to auto sum. You can click and drag through the numbers you want auto summed. But since this guy is correct, it's easier just to do a fill handle down to make sure they're all the left numbers, not the ones to the top. And that's Excel trying to help you out, thinking, oh, what do you want to sum together when I hit this? Do I go up or down? Well, it looks like the default is to check numbers above me and then check numbers to the left of me. And we didn't want that, so I'm going to do escape. No, I don't want that. I want to sum the numbers to the left of me. Now let's see. Yeah, now I'm getting the right numbers. All right, now we want net. The outstanding question here is, what would the formula be for net? See, and if you're in the business program, this would be something, and it's sort of common sense, but maybe not so obvious. What do you think net is? What is my net profit for the month? What should this formula be? You want to take a stab at it? I'll give you a clue. It has something to do with income and expenses. How do you determine your profit for the day?
Subtract.
Yeah. You've got this for your income, total income. You have this for your total expenses. So my net is equal, I type the equal sign, to total. I'm going to click on it to make sure I get the right one. B6 minus what I spend. That's getting close to the marriage saving formula. The money you have left, or the money you gain this month, is what you had for profit this month, income, minus what you had for expenses this month. And I hit enter, and I let Excel calculate that number for me. And now I can fill handle to the rest of the months, and it'll move with me, and it'll give me my net profit. And I might as well go all the way to the end, because that'll give me my net profit for the year. So over the year, my total income minus my total expenses is equal to $154.60. That's a pretty small real estate company, but decent salary for 2 to 3 to 4 people. And I think realtors make a lot more than that, with just decent sales each month. Realtors make a minimum of 3% of the sale price of your house. And houses right now, typical middle class house, $100,000. So if they can be your realtor, they can make 3%, $3,000 off a sale. If they sell a few houses a month, that's not bad income. $6,000 a month. Sell 4 houses a month. Ooh. They do have expenses too as well. If they can represent both the buyer and the seller, they could get 6%. That's why they would love to represent the buyer as well. Okay, so we have our calculations. I checked the book to make sure I've got the right numbers there. Now, it's time to do a little bit more work. Before we fancy it up, we'll fancy it up on Wednesday. We're going to want to calculate, oh, we haven't saved this. I've done all this work and haven't saved it. Let's do a save, Control S. Let's make sure we save this. And I'm going to save it in my CS101 folder. So I'm going to go browse to my CS101 folder, Spring 23. And I'm going to save it. Make sure it's in the right place here. Oh, that's not the one. I'll go up a level. I'm going to save it here as Manning EX1. So put in your last name. Okay, so I'll do my Mr. Smart. Smart, since that's my fake student. Smart EX1. And I'm saving it as an Excel workbook. In Windows, the suffix or the extension is XLSX. If you're hiding extension, you won't even know that has a little XLSX in there. It'll just show up as an Excel file. Now, I'm going to do a few more things. We not only want net, we also want the minimum and maximum and average income for each month. Oh no, we're not doing that yet. Looks like I thought they're going to style it now. We'll begin the styling of it, and then we'll come back and refine it. So let's start styling this now. Now we have the data. Now we can knock pretty up, make it a little pretty. So the title, we want this to show as a title. So let's go ahead and click on that. I'm going to open up my home rim by double clicking. Now click on this, and I would like this to be title style. Well, how do I make it title style? You may see this already expanded for you. For me, since I am on a smaller screen, cell styles is shrunken, and I want to choose title style for that cell. So choose title style for that cell that I have selected. And see, we're going to change the font color first. Oh, and we're going to change the font to this next one. We're going to change the font of the next one. Our monthly estimates. We want to change that font to be Arial Narrow. Calibri looks fine to me, but they would like us to choose Arial Narrow. Just because somebody likes that font. I don't like that font so much, but they like it. We would like the title to be bold, so I'm going to come back to both of them, dragging through both of them to select them both, and make them bold by clicking the B or Control B. Notice I dragged through both of them so I could apply bold. If I don't drag through both of them, I have to one by one select bold. Now I want this font to be slightly larger. Let's see if Control-Shift greater than works. No, Control-Shift greater than doesn't work anymore. So I can come up here and choose my font size of 16. They would like 16 for that one. And A1, we would like the color of A1 to be a bright green, or choose the cell and choose the text color right there, arrow, the farthest right top color. Currently green accent 3 based on my color theme that I'm using. Let's stop here and we'll pretty up the rest of it and verify our formulas and review a little bit on Wednesday. Save, Control S, save it. Make sure you know exactly where that file is going. Make a backup copy in your cloud drive if you like. And we will see you Wednesday. Dan, did you get your email? I sent you an email.
I don't think I checked it yet.
Your midterm. Right. Do your midterm on this PC?
Yeah.
Okay. We need to find that file.
Because I swear I sent it to you.
Well, you uploaded something to Schoology, but it's not there.
Yeah, I don't think I got any. Because I'm just seeing a lot of stuff.
D3.
That's it. Yeah, I didn't get that email.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Go over to Schoology. Do you
And I
have
was-
time? Do you have time right now?
Yeah, I just have to
Okay.
be at work at like probably 4:45ish.
Okay. So just go to Schoology. Go to the midterm. Or is it go to cs101? And then go to the
And I
midterm.
was having some trouble doing the stuff when I was trying to highlight.
Mhm.
It was like the bird. I would do it and it wouldn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be in grades?
Yep. Midterm Word.
Because I know I did that. That is weird.
So you sent me a .dot file, and that's not the right file. So we need to go and find where your Word file is.
Problem is I'm terrible with computers and I don't really know what I did.
Well, that's why we have the class. So we're gonna figure it out because I think you did it. Now, just for fun, go do your finder, bring up your finder. You need to know how to navigate with your finder.
Okay.
Now start finder.
Isn't this the finder?
No, that's your launcher.
Finder? I'm not sure what you're meaning.
This is your finder. This is your little file explorer.
Okay.
Okay. Now we need to find where
There
that
it
Word file
is.
is. There it is. I figured you did something.
I know I did.
Now, where is it?
No.
Where is it located? Go ahead and close Word. Word and quit. Go back to Word. Click the Word, go down. Where's Word? Click on Word. Close Word by going to Word, quit. Okay? Now, where are you? You click on, what if you right click or two finger click on that? We want to get info about him.
Okay, I think it showed up there, but I
I
just
think
clicked
it's
that.
starting to open it, then you click on it. Go ahead and close Word again. Cancel. Or just start changing.
Oh.
Because you don't want to make any changes. Go ahead and close the file.
This one?
Yeah. And don't save. Close it again. Multiple times. Don't save. Close Word. Word, quit. Alright, now, see how it's selected? Go ahead and do File, Get Info. Alright, you see where it is? Go click on More Info. Need to know where it is. Size, where? There it is. It's underneath Users, Aid, Documents. I don't know why it's in there, but that's where your file is.
Okay. I don't think it's that one. That was for one of them. I'm not sure if that was for the first or the second part though.
You're not even using Word in 365.
I don't know.
So, it says it's over in your Word users,
And as documents, but
NID documents, cs101 folder.
oh, that's why.
Double click, and now we see it in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now go to Schoology in your browser.
Okay.
Go to
Just X out of this.
close that and go resubmit. Yeah. Now, browse over to that. That's the document. Wait, let's make sure. Go ahead. Click on your revision. Let's see if it shows the file. That shows a .dot file.
Wait.
That's not the right file.
Why is it doing that?
That's not the right file. All right. So close that.
The whole page.
And let's go back to Word. Or go back to the Finder. Now, what file is this? Click on him once, and what does he show? He's over there. So it does show a file. So do a file save, and do a save as.